All right, so Peter, there was just a White House press briefing. How did Caroline Leavitt defend the president's decision-making today?
Well, look, every time the president says something that seems completely contradictory, it's Caroline Leavitt's job to go out there and pretend that it's somehow consistent, right? He says one thing, as you rightly point out, 1 minute, and another thing, another. Nobody can be 100% sure what Donald Trump might do next. But it also means that, even he doesn't seem to know what he's doing or what he's going to do next. And because it seems to be so conditioned on the impulse of the moment, the thing he happens to see on TV, the thing somebody happens to tell him most recently. And I think that that's the kind of thing that has really concerned both the allies and a lot of American officials who are not certain where this war is going.
We don't need the Hormuz Strait. We don't need it. We don't need it at all. We have so much oil. Our country is not affected by this.
Our country is not affected by this.
Gas prices are up after about $1 a gallon.
The first time ever, the U.S. Postal Service is imposing an 8% fuel surcharge on packages. This stems from the Iran war.
We're looking at a 20% potential increase in United Airlines airfares, but that would be all airfares. We've also got a diesel problem here. We've seen diesel prices jumping as well. So whether it's your grocery store, your airfare, whether it's your summer driving plans, everything is affected by energy, gasoline, diesel prices.
Greetings to you all. Welcome to Red Ninja Network. I'm Mr. Red. Now, I wanted you to start off with that clip because I wanted to just show you that right now, as much as the White House is going to come out and say a bunch of things, they're going to try to make everything seem like it's okay. And honestly, I don't believe that we're getting the real news or the real truth. I even have clips that I still need to upload to my computer that we need to discuss. But before we get there, in today's video, I intend to show you some of the vile thoughts or potentials of this administration, in addition to some of the things that are making Trump panic. And two of those things just came out recently. The first being, this weekend we had the No Kings protest, where it was thought that about 8 million people around all 50 states were out protesting. In addition, there are some absolutely terrible numbers that just came out that should have Donald Trump sweating. Listen, we have so much to discuss in today's video. Let's strap in. Let's get after it.
We, in fact, be looking at the actions of this administration and the Pentagon, what they're doing with troops, how they're positioning armature and firmament.
We should be looking at what he does, but that statement that you read from, he threatened to destroy all of Iran's energy plants. That's a war crime. You can target energy plants. We've talked about this before, but you can't target every energy plant in the country, the ones that serve civilians. And then there was another line also where he talked, they were going to target water plants, basically salt water, plants that turn salt water into drinking water. That in this region is an incredibly dangerous escalation because every major country in this region needs those plants. So Iran hit one plant in a Gulf state earlier in this war, and the fear was that this would start this tit for tat. You would have Tehran evacuated, Abu Dhabi evacuated, Dubai, Riyadh. Like, if you start getting into that level, no drinking water for anyone in the region, that too is a war crime. So and what Peter said, so this is the unpredictable president, and he says crazy things. Is that wearing well with American voters?
Listen, Trump going ahead and talking about war crimes would not shock me at all. And I believe that he's the type of man that would actually warn about something that he knows he shouldn't do. Or that at least people might tell him, hey, this is a war crime. I don't think Trump expects to leave office, so who's going to prosecute him? In his mind, he's going to stay in office until he passes away. And if this man, Trump, has this mindset that he wants to commit these type of atrocities and crimes, then where is the 25th Amendment? Where is I believe the 4th Amendment to get rid of the whole cabinet? Is this something that we could potentially see if Democrats take the House and the Senate this fall? Who knows? Something needs to happen. And if he gets impeached, he needs to be removed. Anybody who's speaking like this is a dangerous individual, is a man who is obviously cornered and panicking because now he has put himself in a war, in a situation that he cannot back out of, and he has no solutions to get out of. There's no good, clean way to get out of it. The next thought is boots on the ground is the only thing that he can do next because the bombing thing isn't working. We don't have enough munitions. And what's going to happen is as soon as he sends troops on the ground, God forbid that this happens, but if he sends troops on the ground, he's going to get these people killed. He's going to get our soldiers killed, all because he had to listen to his boss. But I want to let you hear a little bit from what took place over at the No Kings protest, and we'll talk about it here on the other side.
The massive No Kings protest that swept across all 50 states and Washington, D.C. Organizers say at least 8 million people attended more than 3,300 demonstrations Saturday to protest against what they call President Trump's authoritarian power grabs. Some of the biggest crowds were seen at the flagship event in St. Paul, Minnesota, as well as in New York City and Los Angeles. Crowds also turned out in smaller cities and towns, including rural Republican communities. Now, the question is, what comes next for this movement? That is the question. Yes. This moment of collective catharsis be translated to a sustainable, actionable political movement going into November. And I also am very curious to see what Democrats take away from the success of the No Kings planning and messaging is going to ultimately be.
I mean, you have to imagine that, one, they're planning another one before the midterms, right? This would be the third one. It would make a lot of sense to have one sometime in the summer, maybe the fall, right before, to get people more galvanized. Right. I was one of those people after the first No Kings protest that was like, and what you're going to do with it? You know what I mean? What are you going to do with this momentum? How do you keep this momentum going? It's too early. But their ability to build over and over and over, and more importantly, from the grassroots, meaning that it's actual humans that are getting upset. It's not organizers who are professional and live in D.C. and New York. I think that tells us that there's a lot more staying power. And if Democrats aren't, and Democrats do seem to be listening, right? Yeah. They start to get tougher. They're fighting a little bit more. They're more aggressive in their messaging because that's what the people that are on the ground at these protests are telling them.
And what you're seeing is the crowd is more diverse, right? Because it started out being more female, more affluent, more white. Now it's more diverse, more mixed gender, bigger groups. I mean, if you want a protest movement, this is what it's supposed to look like. This sort of progression, more people, different kinds of people. Right. So I do think that is worth looking at. I think the danger for Democrats is that some of leadership doesn't understand that anger is also targeted at them.
Right.
That anger has nothing to do with just Trump. We're pissed off at Democrats too. This may not necessarily be fully Democrats' fault, but it's kind of Democrats' fault. Stop giving us this milquetoast shit and go ahead and be aggressive. We need the Democrats to actually have a backbone and step up. Be bold. We need some new voices in there. We need some people who aren't afraid. We need some people who aren't going to take AIPAC money. Because again, Democrats got to read the tea leaves as well. Just because you see this No Kings protest and you think it's against Trump, it's against you people that are taking money from these lobbying groups. We want to get all money out of politics because until we can get all money and influence out of politics from these corporations, we're going to continue to be enslaved and beholden by them. And the power isn't going to be in the hands of the people. It's going to continue to be in the hands of a few, which is why we can't get anything passed. Yet, these tax subsidies always go to the businesses, and they don't pass that shit down to us. No, they will continue to raise prices. They will continue to do what's in the best interest of their shareholders at the expense of you and I. This is not the only bad news for Donald Trump right now. We have Harry Enton here. You know that this dude gets super excited about numbers. And I'm telling you, when you hear these numbers that he talks about today, I hope you get super excited too. But I know one thing. When Trump sees these numbers, which I don't believe they're allowing him to see it, but if Trump saw these numbers, he would definitely be panicking and shitting in his own diapers.
Let's start off by talking about two key terms that basically before this war began, nobody was really talking about, and you might not have even heard of them. We're talking about Karg Island and the Strait of Hormuz, of course, very much having to do with oil that is exported by Iran. And you can see her Google searches in March up like a rocket. I mean, my goodness gracious, record highs reached for Karg Island. Look at this. Google searches up over 20,000. That's insane versus a month ago. And then the Strait of Hormuz up 1,900% versus a month ago. And we're talking about gas prices here in the United States. And we are talking about increases that, frankly, we have never seen, at least over the last 35 years. Take a look here at gas prices. Okay, right now, the largest 4-week gas price increase since at least 1991. You have to go all the way back since the Bills played in their first Super Bowl to find increases this high. We're talking about up 33% just over the last 4 weeks. My goodness gracious. In fact, I went back through the record books. We're talking about an increase of $1 over just a 4-week period for the first time ever.
This is exactly what I talked about in another video. Donald Trump with this war is breaking records, and the difference is that there was no plan going in. He was asked, hey, can you do this thing? Not can you. No, you're going to do this thing because they're going to get you. If they're going to get us, they're going to get you. And Donald Trump said, okay, we have the most powerful military in the world. We're going to go in there. It's going to be easy. They're just a bunch of sand people. Donald Trump's narcissism about those people over there in Iran is why we're losing this war. Because there was no deep thought in intel. And then, matter of fact, the military leader who was the expert on Iran, Trump fired that black dude. Oh yeah, did I mention he was a black dude? It was a black colonel.
Meet C.Q. Brown, a 4-star general who served his country for 40 years, including a stint as the highest military advisor to the president. And as you can see, he's a black man. And something about that just didn't sit right with these guys. So they fired him for being a, quote, woke DEI hire.
Well, first of all, you got to fire you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever, that was involved in any of the DEI woke shit, it's got to go.
The great irony is that he was replaced by a white man of lesser rank and lesser experience, all in the name of rooting out DEI. But during his time in leadership, C.Q. Brown worked to de-escalate tensions with Iran. Specifically, he famously made an unannounced trip to the Middle East to deter escalation in 2024.
We're really trying to avoid war. And we're doing things not only to prevent a war, but at the same time, one of my primary things is to make sure that all of our forces in the region are protected.
I can't tell you what C.Q. Brown would have done today, but it's important to say their campaign against DEI has made us less safe by prioritizing skin color and gender over competency.
Donald Trump fired the guy, fired and got rid of the people who were experts in Iran. This was probably purposely done, because he didn't want anyone around this time, in his second term, that was going to question the things that he did. And now, the same people who voted for Donald Trump, who voted for lower prices, lower gas, lower taxes, lower all this stuff. Look what you got. Look what you did. This dude did something that no other president has had. Now, if you go ahead and watch Fox News is going to tell you that the average price of gas is lower under Trump than it is Biden and Obama. But that's not a good snapshot. He's going to give you the more accurate numbers and snapshots of what's going on and how it's going to affect you.
First time ever. That is why the Strait of Hormuz and Kharg Island are so important, because essentially what has gone on, of course, is that the Strait of Hormuz has closed and it has choked off the oil supply that is heading out of Iran. And that, of course, has driven up gas prices here in the United States of America. But that is not all that's been going on. Take a look here. This, I think, really sort of gives the game away. Look at this. Economic measures since the Iran war began. Well, we spoke about gas prices, right, being up 33%. But look at the Dow Jones. Down it goes through the floor. We're talking about down 8%. Down 8% since the war in Iran began. And guess what? That means, along with the downflow that we saw earlier on, just before the Iran war started, that the Dow Jones has actually entered correction territory. It's entered correction territory. So oil prices climb ever higher, but the rest of the economy has been suffering. It has been suffering because of the war in Iran. Of course, we had all those years, right, in which the stock market had been climbing. But basically, what we've seen over the last month and change is that stocks are finally entering correction territory, which if you have a 401k like myself, that's not exactly welcome news.
Now, I want you to think about something. What was something that a couple weeks ago that Trump was touting, right? And what's the press secretary, Karen Levitt? What the hell were they touting? Oh, the stock market has hit 50,000. The S&P 500 has hit 50,000. You think that matters right now? When people can't afford to get back and forth to work, farmers can't afford the gas for their equipment, you think that's going to matter for the truck drivers and the people who have to be on the road? The people who need gas to survive and for our critical infrastructure? You think all this shit matters? Absolutely not. They're hurting. They're going to be hurting. So if you voted for this man, you voted for this shit. No normal people give a shit about the stock market. You put your money in there and you're supposed to be able to forget it. But when you see this shit, the people who do, the few Americans that do, he's messing with your shit too. Has it affected you now? Do you get it now? I urge you, go ahead, go down in the comments, check out the links to these videos down below. And Trump has got to be panicking. And if he's not panicking, there's a whole other topic that I've been wanting to cover, but it makes me think that the people around Trump aren't giving Trump the right news. I even heard, from one of the news sources actually, that Trump isn't getting the daily briefings that he reads. They are putting it in video form so Trump can digest his video briefings. I really want you to think about that. This man who always wants to call people low IQ, and he has the highest IQ because he did the IQ test and it showed he was a genius because he knew what the hell a frog, a duck, a lion, a giraffe was. This man right here now needs to get his daily briefings, the shit that keeps the president informed so he can make decisions that keep us safe. This shit is in video. This shit might as well be a fucking Saturday morning cartoon, and it might as well be written in crayon right in front of him on construction paper in a black composition notebook. This is where we're at, people. This is where we're at. I suspect that Donald Trump isn't getting all the numbers to make him panic and shit a brick, but then you know that he hears enough when he starts ranting and raving on Truth Social. That's when you know that he's panicking. And I'm telling you right now, this man is panicking. Stay vigilant, stay engaged, stay revolutionary.